Good morning, friends. Mike's MMA Picks here with your Fight Morning Quick Card Breakdown show for BetDSI as well as MMAOddsbreaker. We've got UFC 270 on our hands, 11 fights, 2 title fights. I am ecstatic, ready for action here. Let's get things kicked off with the first fight of the evening. We actually kick things off with 2 ladies' fights back-to-back. Get those out of the way, and then 9 consecutive bouts featuring male fighters. First fight of the night where we have Jasudavicius coming in as a plus 175 underdog. Jasudavicius claiming to be the next coming of GSP, fighting out of Canada. Long fighter. She's got the height. She's got the reach. She's got grappling, as we've seen on her Contender Series bout, but she's up against a tough cookie in Kay Hansen, who's coming up in weight, battling her own personal challenges. Kay Hansen, minus 215. If you look at some books, you may see it as low as minus 200. The line is closing here. Kay Hansen, who's focused on her OnlyFans and a few other things that are outside of the octagon that really could potentially be a distraction here. Kay Hansen, a solid grappler, was outstruck by a fighter in her last bout with a 58-inch reach. So that is concerning. Jasudavicius, if she's able to stay at range in the larger octagon, she becomes live. My pick is going to be Kay Hansen here. I think that she's got to stick to her bread and butter. She's got to get this fight to the mat. And this could last 15 minutes, but I think that there is a little bit of value right now on Kay Hansen. So give me Kay Hansen in that matchup. Next fight, where we have Vanessa Demopoulos dropping back down to her weight class of 115 pounds, coming off of the devastating loss to JJ Aldrich. She's coming in as a minus 140 betting favorite, taking on Silvana Gomez-Juarez. Silvana Gomez-Juarez blown out of the water against Lupita Godinez last time out. We saw not much of a ground game to speak of, though this fight should start standing on the feet, as all fights do. And 37 years of age, KSW experience for Gomez-Juarez. The fierce striker, that's really what she is when it comes down to it. You watch the tape, you see that she wants to trade at range, land hellacious power punches, but let's be honest here. I don't see either of these fighters getting KO'd. Juarez, though, is going to be my pick as the underdog here. Demopoulos, she is very sloppy out there on the feet. She has the grappling game. She has the jiu-jitsu, the flexibility, as we saw during weigh-ins, was able to land a almost like a gymnast maneuver. Demopoulos, if this fight gets extended, if there are scrambles on the mat, that's where she becomes live. But I'll be picking Silvana Gomez-Juarez here as an underdog. Wow. Next fight of the night, where we have Matt Frevola taking on Gennaro-Valdez. First, let's take a look at the comments here. We have a bunch of folks in the chat. Morning. Boys, good morning. Great to see you out there. Oh, look at this. Phyllis subscribed to Hansen's OnlyFans. Great content. Excellent. All right. Let's see. Tough choices, right? Tough choices. Tough choices. All right. Let's get back to UFC 270, where we have Matt Frevola, Steamroller, coming in as a minus 195 betting favorite, taking on Gennaro-Valdez. Gennaro-Valdez coming off of his Contender Series bout, where he was able to earn a stoppage victory. Frevola, you watch the tape, you know that the chin could potentially be an issue here. Terrence McKinney was able to land a couple of strikes and take him out of there, namely with a jab early. if Frevola is to gain any traction, he's going to come out here and utilize his grappling and his cardio as a weapon. This is the spot where weaponized cardio comes into play. Valdez slings heavy punches, has no qualms trading in the pocket, but when things don't go his way, he will revert to his grappling, and there is gas tank issues here to speak of when you look at the footage. My pick here is going to be Matt Steamroller Frevola, and I believe that he has Valdez covered in a number of spots here, namely the grappling, the transitions, the weaponized cardio, the wrestling. He can throw hands, but he's got to play it safe here and not get caught in the pocket during a striking exchange. I think that Frevola could potentially be a wider favorite in this spot. He's going to be one of my plays on the card, and I am stoked for this fight because I do not see this fight going the distance, and those who were able to get on the fight doesn't go the distance prop earlier in the week were able to secure some line value. In fact, our MMAOddsbreaker premium package, we were able to secure closing line value in just about every play in there. Let's continue this journey, my friends, where we have Tony Gravely taking on Stamann-Nurmagomedov. This is an interesting bout where we have Gravely, who's coming in as a minus 240 betting favorite, and he was having his way with Nate Maness last time out. What happened? He gets caught, gets taken out of there. This fight against Stamann-Nurmagomedov, Oliveira has some significant experience under his belt. Still young, but he has some significant experience. Muay Thai fighter. I watched the tape. You look like you're watching Moreno-Rodriguez, the reincarnation of Moreno-Rodriguez out there, the way she holds her hands up. And Oliveira, interesting spot. He's got a lot of submissions on his resume. I think that he's going to be at a huge strength disadvantage here. And Gravely is the much better wrestler. This fight has the potential to hit the mat. Gravely also has heavy hands, been submitted 5 times. That's an issue here. Take a look at the fight doesn't go the distance prop. I see it's hovering around evens. That is going to be my recommended play on this bout. Gravely at minus 240, I believe, is a little wide in this spot. All right, let's get back to the chat here. All right. Evan says UFC 270 drinking game. Every time Stamann-Nurmagomedov attempts a guillotine, you drink. Okay. All right. We might end up needing resuscitation if that's the case, my brother. So next bout, where we have the UFC debut of Jack Della Maddalena coming in from Australia, taking on Pete Rodriguez, who you watch the tape, 4 victories in Icon Federation, takes his opponents out of there quick, and heavy hands of Pete Rodriguez. Interesting spot here where we have Maddalena, who looks to have the fluidity on the feet and the scrambling ability on the mat, and also the hands, the boxing. He is, he looks the part here, and he's coming in against a Rodriguez who we don't really know who he is. Let's be honest. That's something that we are going to figure out real quick here. I don't see this fight going the distance. Initially, I saw minus 325 for a fight doesn't go the distance. Granted, that line has now widened. If you're going to play either one of these fighters, I would look at the inside the distance lines. Maddalena, interesting. Coming over from Australia. Can he take a heavy power punch from this Rodriguez kid? I don't think it's going to go deep. I think that Maddalena should end up in this fight inside the distance. I'm seeing some body shots that could pay dividends here. Rodriguez made weight I'll be picking Maddalena, and I like this fight inside the distance. If you want to possibly, if you're one of those parlay folks out there, you may want to parlay the inside the distance line with another fighter on this card. And we look at fights on this card. We have a fight that was rebooked. Raoni Barcelos coming in as a minus 520 betting favorite, taking on Victor Henry, who, interesting, he doesn't necessarily look like a fighter when you watch him step onto the scales and his physique, etc. But you look at his fight footage, and he has bouts in Ryzen and other promotions. He is a jack of all trades, good at some things, not great at certain things. Raoni Barcelos, though, he is a phenomenal fighter who has a gas tank. He has the wrestling, he has the jiu-jitsu, he has the power punches, and he has the potential to end this fight inside the distance. Though Henry is a tough guy to finish. You watch the wiry frame, the way he's able to shimmy out there. Barcelos, interesting spot here, because both of these guys had to do weight cuts for this matchup and a previous iteration of this matchup as well. I hate to see fighters going to the well and having to do cuts so quickly back to back. Barcelos is going to be my pick, but take a look at that inside the distance line. I believe it's offering a little bit more value than it did earlier in the week. So give that one a look, my friends. Let's see. We've got, oh, wow. Jack is a fan of Victor Henry here. Let's see if he has what it takes inside there. If this fight gets extended, I think that's when Victor Henry becomes live. Let's take a peek over there. Next up, where we have Michael Morales, a UFC newcomer, the Ecuadorian wrestling champion, who is coming in as a minus 125 betting favorite, taking on Officer Trevin-Giles, who's dropping down from 185 pounds, coming down to welterweight. What are we going to get out of Giles here, coming off of a knockout loss? Now, Giles, we know he likes to pump that jab out there, throws very straight punches, has good footwork. Both of these fighters relatively young, though Morales only 22 years of age. So you watch the fight footage. Morales is going to come in here with a significant reach advantage. He's going to probably be willing to take more risks than Trevin-Giles, considering Giles is coming off of getting stopped. So something to consider when you're making a play here. Michael Morales is a interesting play. If he was at dog odds or close to dog odds, I would be inclined to take a sprinkle, a small shot on him. I have concerns about Giles showing up here also at welterweight. That's a reality. You know, why is he dropping to 170 pounds? Didn't have to, and he seems to have done it the right way, made the weight, but I'm still hesitant to go out of my way to pick him in this spot. Originally, I was planning on picking Giles here, though. The more tape I watched, I think that this Morales kid is a bit of a wild card. He's got, all right, the trifecta. He's a undefeated fighter. He has the Dana White Contender Series shine under his belt, and he's a young prospect, right? So he's taking on Giles, a UFC savvy vet. Interesting spot here. I'm not going to go out of my way to play either of these fighters, but I'll come out and say my pick. I think Morales may come out here and surprise some folks. He does pass the eye test. So you watch the footage, and very fluid on his feet, long, straight punches, and the way he's been able to mix in the wrestling, I'm curious to see. I was skeptical of the wrestling ability of Morales here, and I want to see it. I want to see it in action. I'll be picking Morales here with some hesitation. Wow. Next up, where we have Cody Stamann taking on Said Nurmagomedov. Fascinating bout. At 135 pounds, you saw Cody Stamann come in and make weight yesterday. He looked sucked out, and then by the time the ceremonial weigh-ins came in, he was filled out, ready to go. Plus 155 underdog for Cody Stamann, coming off of the Merab Dvalishvili very close fight. I thought he fought the best fight of his career, to be honest, in that bout. And this is one of those situations where have we seen fighters hit their ceiling, so to speak? Cody Stamann, that's yet to be determined. Cody Stamann, in his early 30s, taking on a Said Nurmagomedov who hasn't fought in a couple of years, right? He got caught overseas in the mother country, and due to COVID, wasn't able to get a fight. The Jack Shore fight, that never came to fruition. I like what I see from Nurmagomedov's stand-up, the reach advantage here, the evasiveness from the hips. He's tough to get a hold of. Now, Stamann's got to know that those spinning back fists are headed his way, and he might be just waiting for Nurmagomedov to give him a read where he's able to shoot in after a spinning back fist and then get that body lock and try to drag this fight to the mat. That's Cody Stamann's path to victory here. Said Nurmagomedov, this fight's not supposed to go. This fight is supposed to go the distance at minus 260-ish. If there's a fighter who wins this fight inside the distance, I would think it's Said Nurmagomedov. I saw the TKO line at around plus 420, plus 425. Just give that a gander. Stamann is going to try to get this fight to the mat at all costs. The stand-up, there is a huge discrepancy in the stand-up game here. Stamann he's described himself as having T-Rex arms, so take that for what it's worth. Stamann is going to be selling out for the takedown here, and if he gets it, this is one of those cases where he could be burning time in a dominant position. One of those fighters who could do that. And I also could see Matt Frevola doing that if he's able to get Valdez to the mat. So interesting spot here. And what I'm inclined to do in this spot, there's no official play yet, but I'm interested because this line, you look around, you see Said's actually dropped to minus 180. I think this line might actually close a little bit more. Rather than make a play on Stamann, you could also look at the fight. You could do the scorecards no action prop for Nurmagomedov in the minus 220s. This fight isn't expected to go. Sorry, it is expected to go the distance. And if it ends up finishing, I think that Nurmagomedov is the guy who finishes this fight way, way more often than not. So interesting spot here. I'm going to be picking Said Nurmagomedov to win. I think that the larger octagon, the evasiveness, the footwork, the length are going to be major issues here. So give me Said Nurmagomedov in that spot. We've got a bunch of comments here. Let's see. All right, Stamann looked better than ever on the scale for what it's worth. He did. He looked sucked out to me, but he made the weight. That's the key. And he was one of the first fighters to the scale. Okay, Stamann's a solid dog play. I see that side. Stamann could walk into a spinning kick or grind out the win. More likely he grinds out the win. Interesting. I see a lot of people on Stamann. Okay, interesting. All right, so next up, we have a fascinating matchup at welterweight between Michel Pereira as a minus 275 betting favorite, taking on Andre Fialho. Andre Fialho, who ended James Vick's career, has some PFL experience, is a heavy hitter, is willing to take risks similar to Michel Pereira, but there is only one Michel Pereira. Let's make that clear. Interesting fight. I don't see this one going the distance. Pereira has a full camp, was supposed to come in here and take on Salikov. interesting fight where we have Pereira, who is coming off of going the distance against Nico Price. Who thought that fight would have went the distance? I sure didn't. Fialho, fascinating matchup where if Pereira starts to play with his food as he's done in many previous bouts, then Pereira could potentially be at risk of being upset. This is the ball's in Pereira's court here. Okay. I see him as being a legitimate favorite, though Fialho has to wait and pick his spots. You could see Pereira's going to be bouncing around, lunging in, looking to land his jab, his straight right. And then Fialho has to just sit back, wait for his opportunity, and unload. And that's where he has a shot here, a legitimate shot at scoring the upset. My pick is going to be Pereira, though. I think that having a full camp under your belt in this specific spot is going to be helpful. And Fialho is going to have his work cut out for him. We're already at the co-main event of the evening, my friends. Look at this, where we have the trilogy. Brandon Moreno against Deiveson Figueiredo. Figueiredo, one of the first fighters to the scale, coming in at 124 pounds. Moreno, minus 180 betting favorite. Deiveson Figueiredo, plus 150 underdog. This fight isn't expected to go to a decision. I agree that this fight shouldn't go the distance. You watch the tape on both of the first bouts, and I mean, they completely different contrasting endings, and Figueiredo looked like a completely different fighter in the second bout. The first fight went 5 rounds with Deiveson Figueiredo actually winning the 5th round against Brandon Moreno. I think that folks should go back and watch that first fight since it wasn't very long ago as well. And both fighters, although physically they do look a little different. Let's be honest here. Deiveson Figueiredo did his fight camp at Fight Ready out in Scottsdale, Arizona. Great place. Moreno, confident. The second fight, you saw that he made it through 5 rounds with Figueiredo the first time. The aura of invincibility that comes with Deiveson Figueiredo had worn off. He realized he could take the power punches of Figueiredo, and he went in for the kill, took advantage of the wrestling, and secured a submission victory. This is a very interesting spot here where the odds have shifted dramatically. I remember the first fight, folks were thrilled to get a minus 200 on Figueiredo. Now he's at a plus 150, and they've had time to get a full fight camp in, both of these fighters. I think right now the value is on Deiveson Figueiredo, though. Let's take a deeper dive here. 34 years of age for Figueiredo. Moreno, only 28 years old. Getting down to 124 pounds, I'm sure took a lot of work, weeks of effort, and they did make the cut here. I could see Figueiredo picking his spots here and making Moreno pay anytime he tries to close distance, stay at range, and land the power shots that are a staple of Deiveson Figueiredo's game. Another thing is, don't forget, Deiveson Figueiredo has a legitimate submission game. We've seen what he's been able to do to other fighters. Moreno is going to try to extend Figueiredo. That's going to be tough here. I think it's going to get sketchy early. I don't see this fight going the distance. I see this, the best play in this fight is that this fight doesn't go the distance. Rather than picking a side, though, if I was to pick a side here, I'm leaning and I'm going to be picking Deiveson Figueiredo. I think that the value is clearly on his side at plus 150. Moreno, though, has Figueiredo's number. We saw at the weigh-ins. What is going on with Figueiredo? Also, you watch him; he's just such a spaz, so strange the way he's acting. Like a loose cannon. Not sure how to read that. I don't put much stock into it, but it's just a very strange vibe he's giving off, knowing that he that he was submitted last time out, finished inside the distance, and now he's coming in like a badass with a grudge for no apparent reason. It's very strange. But Moreno could come out here and keep this belt, and that's a possibility. I'd rather play fight doesn't go the distance though. So, but give me Deiveson-Figueiredo in this spot. I think that he has got the power, and also he has a submission game that is a real threat here. The wrestling of Moreno is always going to be a problem, and also the scrambling ability of Moreno is a problem, and the boxing. But give me Figueiredo in this matchup. Let's go back to the let's go back here. Let's see. Okay, passing value on Fig. Okay, yeah, the age, that is an issue. Let's see. Oh, Cyril Gane's in the chat here. Good luck tonight, Cyril. I wish you the best. Let's go to the main event of the evening, where we have Francis Ngannou taking on Cyril Gane. For all the marbles, the heavyweight belt is on the line. Former training partners set to trade blows. Cyril Gane coming in as a -150 betting favorite, taking on a Francis Ngannou who is hellacious power puncher, is looking to capitalize on any mistake that Gane may make, and that is a realistic possibility. That could potentially happen here. It only takes one strike to end the night of a heavyweight fighter, and that's where the volatility and the variance comes in. And one of the plays I gave out, let's say it was about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, was Cyril Gane at -108. Now, he could be had for -150. It creates an ARB opportunity for some folks if they choose to go that route. Ngannou at plus money seems very tempting for folks. Also, taking a look at the KO TKO prop, that is another enticing area. I don't expect this fight to go 5 rounds. Cyril Gane has tremendous footwork. He's evasive inside of this larger octagon. He's going to look to, as Michael Bisping says, the jab is the key to the door. And he's going to try to land that jab without eating a massive strike. And that's going to be a challenge. I'm very interested. That is worth the pay-per-view money in itself, just to see how Cyril Gane is going to have to pull this off and be safe when he does it. It's going to be it's a game of inches, and that's why they fight. So interesting bout. I see Cyril Gane being the much more polished fighter, much more cerebral fighter. Ngannou leaves so much to be desired as far as the technical side of things go. But granted, this is heavyweight. This is mixed martial arts. Anything can happen. And sometimes the more technical fighter does not win. So I know that going into this at -108, I think that was a solid play. We secured closing line value, and I know it doesn't mean a thing if it doesn't hit, but I like our chances here, and I'll be picking Cyril Gane. Want to thank everybody for tuning in today. I want to wish you the best on your plays. Remember, go get what's yours. Third-party tracked at betmma.tips. Plays can be found at MMAOddsbreaker Premium, and it's time. This is why we do what we do, baby. Let's go. Good luck today. Go get what's yours.